Samurai Jack Season 5, Episode 9. This, of course, is the penultimate episode of the entire series. They had a really epic promo. I don't know what the song was, but the song was also in the promo. And that last little bit of animation that they had where it was just like Jack like holding the katana up to the sky and then sheathing it. That was a great, like, I don't know, that was like 3 seconds max, if it was even 3 seconds long. That looked really cool. But this is a phenomenal episode. It starts off right where the last episode ended. Jack and Ashi are kissing. They start spitting because all the weird slug goo residue was on them still. They have, a night in the desert where they're sleeping. They go over a little bit of Jack's backstory because Ashi asks him about, where he came from and what it was like. So he goes to the seasons and how things were so beautiful as a child. And he mentions, when they get to like the girlfriend component, he's like, oh, there was no, a girl because I was 8 when things fell apart. And he's like, it's nice to think of before Aku showed up because that's the only way I remember my village is through memory. And I thought that was a really interesting moment. And of course that's what kind of sets him off because even before that, at least I believe it was, this like almost 2 scenes before that is when he's talking to himself, the reflection in the mirror, which I thought was a really cool scene because up until this point, the other side that Jack would always be talking to was him in the outfit because that was the side that he'd always left behind. So it was always crazy. And I love that in this episode, now that he's back in his outfit and he's calm and he's defeated that much darker half of himself, like the episode, where he gets his katana back. I thought it was really cool the way that they show it where the other half of him that he talks to now is the version we're accustomed to from the rest of this season, and it's calm. And I thought that was actually a nice dynamic now that he's taken control of his original sort of samurai self and it's no longer crazy. His other half isn't crazy either, so he's taken the place of the crazy side and his other side is his former self who was just kind of the lost character. So I thought that was really well done. I was like, oh, that was a nice way to kind of switch it up from what we've seen throughout the rest of the season. So I really enjoyed that. He goes through to like this random location and he mentions he knows what it is. I'm assuming it's from another episode and I wouldn't be surprised by that, but they go through like the robot graveyard. We get a scene of Scaramouche as he goes to Aku and he delivers the super old news at this point that, Jack doesn't have his sword anymore. So I thought that was great. And that's before like the first commercial break. So they're like dancing it up as it goes into break. And I thought that was really funny. But it was great. We get to kind of like this giant robot graveyard. And so of course Ashi shows up because she's like, why did you take off? We're in this together. And he's freaked out because it's like, I don't want you to become just another memory like everyone else that I've ever cared about. And that all gets shut down when Aku actually shows up. And it just got intense after that. It was funny at first because of course he showed up and he's super excited. And it was like the best minute ever because he's super excited. He's laughing it up. He's like, you might be wondering, why would I randomly show up? Well, I got some great news. And then Scaramouche comes out. And he's telling him all this crap like, he doesn't have the only thing in the universe that can destroy Aku. So they're just yucking it up and he's leaning in super close. And Jack just pulls the blade out on him and is like, oh. And the face he made when he looked over at Scaramouche was the funniest thing ever. And it was just like a split second. He looks at him. He doesn't even get a chance to explain. He's just like, Master. And then his head just explodes. So that was a hilarious sequence. And then, of course, he's trying to take off. And as Jack comes at him, that's when he realizes that he can smell himself in a different part of this graveyard, and it's Ashi. So we find out that Ashi truly is the daughter of Aku. This wasn't like, from the beginning of the series, I just assumed these were some random people that had nothing really to do with Aku whatsoever. It was like some crazy cult, and that's technically still what it was because they just honored him, and that was it. It was that one moment, though, where, of course, he showed up, and he's like, cool, statue's pretty nice, pales in comparison to me though. And I guess it was his blood. I mean, it was all like ink and everything, so I'm just going to assume it's his essence. We'll go with that. And he drops it into the mug, into the chalice, and of course that's where it leads to the woman who drinks it, and poof, she's impregnated like 6 times over. I was about to say 16 times over. But she's impregnated like 6 times over, and that's how we get Ashi and her sisters. And that was just very interesting. I was like, okay, so she truly is a daughter of Aku. It's not just like, oh, it's just a cult that really falls behind him. This is actually real. And that was good. That's when it led to some crazy stuff. And at first, it was like, oh man, it's getting dark because, Aku is able to control Ashi's body. So he has her fighting against Jack, and I'm like, oh man, it seems like it's leading to I have to kill the person I care about. And then, he gets saved in the next episode because we still haven't seen the Scotsman come back. But he doesn't end up killing her in this episode. They fight and fight. And then Aku is like, in order to defeat Jack, you have to, let out your best part, which is me. And then he controls her and, like, basically, all the ink and stuff comes out and covers her body. And that was really sweet because the design was, like, insanely awesome, with her having like just the white eyes with the flames and the spikes, and then the sword is just jet black, and then the red flame over it. It looked really sweet. Like after that happened, I was like, that is a super epic design. So they go through this battle, and it's just really good. I'm like, is he gonna end up killing her? Because he can, but now he really has to fight back because she's being not only being controlled by Aku, but she's also in like Aku mode, in a sense. So I'm like, how in the world is this gonna play out? But he breaks the blade and slices her arm just a little, and that's kind of what releases her for a split second, and she's like, you just gotta kill me. But he can't do it, and he drops the katana on the ground. Aku picks it up, and we have a really amazing ending segment where it is something that they used to do a lot in the original series, but we haven't really seen it in this one. But like that ending shot of Aku just holding the katana in the air, and it just goes all the way down his body, and then it ends with Jack on his knees, like almost depressed. And then we have, the Aku version of Ashi standing over him with the blade. And it was an epic way to end the episode leading into the series finale. The one thing that I can say as far as what's good about him not actually killing Ashi in this episode is that they can still end it on a happy ending. Because I was thinking if he kills her in this one, that's pretty much it. He kills her, and then there's no way that they can end up saving her life, because she'll be dead, and then the Scotsman will show up too late. But with him giving up the blade at the end of the episode and not actually killing her, that means the Scotsman and his daughters can come in, they can hold her down or whatever, and so it'll be easier to save her life. They can like take the evil essence out of her body or something, and then, that will allow Jack to go against Aku one last time in the final episode. So that's kind of what I'm assuming is going to happen. Scotsman and his family will come into play, or Ghost Scotsman at this point. But I'm super excited for this finale. I hope it's longer than 30 minutes, but I'm assuming it'll be in a normal episode. They didn't reference anything about it being an extra long episode in the promo. But either way, it was a great promo, and it just got me like even more excited. Like all they did really was just show like the best parts of this episode in the promo. It was like Aku first showing up and Jack fighting against Ashi the whole time. And I was like, I literally just finished watching that, but it was really, really sweet, so I kind of like that they used it for the promo. But I'm very excited for this series finale. As I've been saying for the past couple of weeks, as we've gotten closer and closer to the end. Sucks that it's the end, but man, I cannot wait to see it. This is a really great episode. Like, it was simple, they're just together, and, Jack has to deal with that emotion of being attached to someone. Considering, I would have to assume he hasn't really been attached to someone for close to 50 years. Because I know there's some comic books that take place after, like, the main series. So he's probably had some other friends, but, he hasn't really been close to anyone for, like, near 50 years. And now he has a brand new person. It's not like an old friend came back. It's like a brand new person that potentially has a lot of life to live because she's fairly young. And it's just like, man, I don't want another person that I care about dead. So, great start to the episode. And then it just got really crazy with what I thought was going to be Jack versus Aku. Because I was really curious. I was like, how are they going to kind of play this out? Because it always ends in some epic fashion whenever they would fight. It's like the first episode, he gets thrown into the future. Every other time they fought in the original series, it was like something big always had to happen. And then this, it seems like they're about to do that big epic, battle, and it's like, turns out he can control Ashi because she's actually his daughter, and that was the epic moment just for this episode, so we still have to see them actually fight in the series finale. But really looking forward to it. This was a great episode leading up to the finale. Of course, we'd love to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below, let me know your favorite parts or least favorite parts. And naturally, the series finale is coming up, so I just want to know your theories on how things are going to play out. Is it going to be a happy ending? Is it going to be a sad ending where he does end up killing Ashi ultimately? But, of course, I'm assuming, it would be super depressing if he killed her and he didn't end up defeating Aku, but my guess is they'll do a nice happy ending. It'll be dramatic. Maybe some people will die. The Scotsman has like $1 billion. They could do it dramatically. We don't really know those characters, but it would still suck because it's still hero characters, but I don't know. It's really hard to say, but I would love to know your theories on how this next episode is going to play out. Of course, with it being the finale, I also want to know just what you guys want to see in general with it being the final episode. I think we already have like our big reference episode where it was like all the villains and stuff, so I don't think that they'll do too much of that where it's like, here's this part from the series, the original couple seasons, because we already had a full episode like completely devoted to that. So I feel like this will just solely be devoted to officially ending the series. We might get a few references. We might actually see like all the characters just because it's Jack going through like a final portal to go back home or something like that. But we'd love to know what you guys want to see, what theories you guys have for how things are going to play out. And of course, just want to know what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.